So good afternoon to everyone. We can slowly start the webinar. I'm Mats Kuuskemaa. I represent eResidency here in Germany. And we have this wonderful webinar, luckily, as a follow-up to our visit to Bits and Pretzels in Munich. So we have two wonderful ladies from both based in Munich today, who are the main speakers here. So Andra Larin we have a long-term collaboration with her. She's an international tax lawyer, and she normally advises countries, not only entrepreneurs, but also countries on different topics concerning OECD and other organizations. So Andra, really happy to have you here today. So Andra will tell you all about Estonia's tax environment and why it works well for some setups, and also who can benefit from it. And then you can jump with every question. And Kirsten Meisinger is an e-resident founder. Founder of SEO Seal is her Estonian business. So very exciting always to work with you, and you have so much positive energy in the marketing segment that you represent. So really happy to have you here, and hope you can share your journey and your experience with Estonia today. And also we have Hannah Brown, who is our head of content. And Hannah normally runs all of our sort of general webinars, so she'll be here to help with any questions that you have. And Hannah is also our head of content. So if you've read any interesting blog stories from our news, everything, that's thanks to Hannah. So really good to have this team. And I will kick off by telling you maybe briefly, like sort of the journey of e-residency, what it is, how to become an e-resident. And then I will pass on to Kirsten and Andra, and then we'll also have a chance to have a discussion and lots of questions as well. If you have questions, if you can write them to the Q&A tab, so then we can answer them more efficiently. Thank you so much. I will kick off by showing you a couple of slides of e-residency. I know that we might have some already old e-residents here, but we still built this up for anyone who doesn't know so well how e-residency works. So to kick off, Estonia started to build its digital governance from the 1990s. One of the first services that was put online was tax returns, I think partly in 1999. And a lot more people started to pay tax. So it was a great experience, and the country slowly put all the other digital services online. And then what it did, because it was Estonia at the time tried to learn from different countries. So for example, our tax and legal system, our legal system is very much, we've learned from Germany, for example, our let's say economic reforms, we've done IMF advice, but on e-governance, there was no one to learn from. So essentially Estonia had to figure this thing out ourselves. And luckily we did it in an integrated way. So all these government databases speak to each other, and there's general two rules that every person is in charge of their data. So if someone checks your address or for example, your health records as a citizen, you can see and ask why. So this is quite important. That's why it also works well with the GDPR. And just a couple of things more, that a digital government is never ready. Estonia needs to keep working on it to make it more secure, to make the services better. Currently, the government is trying to put all the services in a better format in mobile, because they were all developed for desktop initially. A couple of years back, 2017, we created a data embassy. So what that means is that there's a data backup for Estonia. Like if you lose your iPhone, you can withdraw the last version. So we can do that also with our e-government. If there were major cyber attacks, for example, we have a backup that is based in Luxembourg. And also, let's say by the end of 2000s, Estonia got a lot of praise that this little country out there has done something new, great digital infrastructure. But the question was that how do we make it relevant internationally? And for that, e-residency was invented. So e-residency is really a digital identity card that any one of you can go and apply. It has nothing to do with the residency where you live or your tax residency also. So you can live in Germany or travel the world or do whatever you like. But it actually, if you become an e-resident, it gives you a digital ID card that basically you can sign any documents, you can access any online systems, any digital infrastructure that Estonia has. So it's not a visa, travel document, or personal tax residency, but it's a digital card that gives you access to Estonia's ecosystem. And what we learned, what we didn't know, is that in a lot of countries, it's very difficult, partly to become an entrepreneur, to build companies, to do the paperwork. And this became really the big use case for us. This is what an e-Residency kit looks like. You get a USB card reader and a card, and after that, you can also sign documents with your mobile phone through an app. What is a big surprise for us is that around half our community come from EU countries. And the reason for it is that there's a lot of people who love to travel, love to take their company with them in their rucksack. There's a lot of, let's say, international teams where founders are in different countries and they can sign documents together and access Estonia. There's a lot of startups that also find Estonia as a good ecosystem to have their entity. And there are also some companies that in the end want to have some functions in Estonia. So there's e-commerce companies that, for example, want to do the EU business through Estonia. And there are also some other use cases there. So what I already went into slowly, that there's a lot of companies that do sort of cross-border international services that they find Estonia as a good base. And sometimes also, what we try to help now more is that if people want to have some substance in Estonia, so some employees or some functions there, then they can also benefit from Estonia's tax system more. That Andra will go over later. What e-Residency is not really a good match is that, let's say, if all your clients are in Germany, you live in Germany, then the company for sure needs to be taxed here as well. So that's the thing. That then it's not just such a big benefit, that, let's say. But if you want to build it partly your EU business or your online business, then it's more easier to also use Estonia and our tax system. A little bit more about Estonia startup ecosystem. So our first unicorn company was Skype. It was quite early when it was developed. And then because we have very advantageous employee stock options in Estonia, then a lot of the startup founders in Estonia, when their startup exits, they all actually get a lot of money, which is not always has been the case in Germany, for example. Many companies just don't give employee stock options here traditionally. Because it's too difficult and it's taxed too many times, but for that reason, Estonia has it's one of the reasons why we have a lot of unicorns in the end, because the startup founders who then their employees of startups, they all found their own startups later, and that's why we have one company here in Germany, Grünfin, that says that they are the grandchild of Skype, because the Wise, which is TransferWise, which is a fintech. Their first employee was one of the founders was Skype's first employee, and one of Grünfin's founders was first employee for Wise. So in a way, startups create more startups, and Estonia is a very kind of friendly ecosystem where you can also sometimes change laws very easily. So if you have a good idea that you want to try out, build, test, Estonia is an easy place where to kind of bootstrap and get things started. We also have startup visa, scale-up visa, and digital nomad visa programs. So these help bring employees to Estonia very easily, also outside from Schengen for startups. And otherwise, I go. The big question is also for startups is that do they get funding? Do Estonian startups get funding? And I'm happy to say that the answer here is yes. This is last year's numbers, of course, but Estonia has the highest per capita VC investment in Europe. Also, it's very hard to compare countries, but what we figured is that also from our, let's say, e-resident founders, is that what they really save time on is that they save a lot of time on paying tax. I mean, the tax money is one thing, but how much you have to administer it, how long time it takes to file it, and how long of the founder's time it takes to just manage companies. This is one thing where Estonia has a strong benefit out there. Here's some comparisons. Also, there's just the new numbers that have come out. There's an international tax competitiveness index that looks at OECD countries. So it's only, I think, 38 countries they look at. Estonia is number one for 10 years in a row. The reason for it is that one of the policy experiments that our politicians tried in the 1990s was that we have 0% corporate income tax for reinvested profits. So if you don't take money out of your company as a dividend, you're basically taxed at 0% until then. And there's no capital gains tax in Estonia. And that's why it's very beneficial for like a lot of companies that are kind of also small and early, because most countries have, tax break for corporations, but we are actually a good place for small businesses to grow and start. Also very important, I mean, I keep corruption perception index and rule of law index here because these are areas where we've learned from Germany. We try to skip the federalism because we're size of Hamburg population wise, but we are doing not so badly, and we'll keep working on this. And this is the journey of becoming an e-resident. So I hope some of you are going to take that journey. So it's you go online, you apply for e-residency status. The government does a sort of basic checkup on each person, but mostly they just want to know that we don't have any criminals or people with terrorism connections in our program. So everyone else is treated better, but there's nothing to really worry about. It's not an intrusive process in any way, but the government might ask you some questions, what do you want to do with your e-residency, and so on and so forth. Then you would need an Estonian address for the company if you establish a company as an e-resident. And we have a marketplace where we have kind of our verified service providers. We check on them that they don't do anything dodgy, because we're a government program, of course. And then you can register your company online, and you would need a bank or fintech account. So we have a few fintechs and banking options there. And then we have a lovely community, of course, that you can be part of. This is the format in Estonia of our sort of GmbH. We don't have an UG especially. It's like everyone uses it, basically. It's called OU, or an U with umlaut. And it doesn't have any shareholder capital anymore, so we got rid of this. And also some very large companies, actually. It's a Bolt, which is a mobility company from Estonia, for example, is still an OU. But most people have an OU personally, so because it's easy to start, easy to manage, and not expensive to hold. This is what our marketplace looks like. You can just go around and click and look who speaks to. If you need to change your service provider later on, sometimes companies grow and they have specific needs, or they, for example, want a cheaper service or a different one, you can always change them. Just the main thing is that your bookkeeping doesn't get too messed up. These are sort of our values that we've collected from our wonderful founder community. But the main, I would say the main pros are the trust, in a way that a lot of entrepreneurs, I feel in many countries, they lack the trust because they don't understand what is wanted from them, from their government. They don't understand the rules and laws, and everything is too complicated sometimes. And with Estonia, it's just more easy, and they know what's expected of them, and that gives them a peace of mind that they can then invest this time in, not in bureaucracy, but really growing their business, and looking at new opportunities. And we also have a lot of really wonderful founders from e-resident community doing all sorts of exciting things, so we love working with them. And this community is also important in a way, because often e-resident to e-resident advice is really the best advice to get. Some of the faces that we have from our community, I have to say that Dr. Angela Merkel and the Pope, they don't have a company yet, probably looking for business ideas still, but they're also part of our community. I'm really happy about this. In the top middle, we have Viviana, who is also an e-resident from Munich, actually. She's a nomad, so she's been traveling a lot, sort of. Right middle, there is Vicky Brock, who is a Brexit refugee, as she says sometimes, that she moved to Estonia to work with EU science projects again. Bottom right, we have a startup founder with a big team in Sri Lanka, and he deals with like European American clients through the Estonian company. And then we have a lot of freelancers, a lot of startup founders from Europe and also outside Europe. Again, if you have a non-EU founders, it's also a good benefit to be part of Europe, and have a company there. Last year at London Tech Week, we did a world record. So the last record was also our own, actually, but so there was a fastest establishment of a company. So from the application to the company being active, it was 15 minutes and 33 seconds. And Dominic is one of the founders from that company in particular. We also have traditional e-resident companies that are really sort of, let's say, they're not like online companies, but they really have quite a few employees. So, for example, Axinom has a big team, I think maybe 100 people in Fürth in Franconia, and they have a global headquarters in Estonia. So they run all the other entities and things through Estonia and have some functions there. And they do technology for commercial airliners. So if you watch a movie on an airplane, it might be their technology, actually. Vivian, I mentioned, she's a freelancer, mainly doing HR. Stefan is an e-resident also from Germany, currently doing agri-tech exports to Europe, but lives in Bali. So again, having an OÜ in Estonia is easier than having a more running a GmbH from distance for him. And these two gentlemen are, one of them is in Korea, one of them is in Switzerland, and they run their IT services company also online that via e-Residency. So just a couple use cases there. Here's a link if anyone wants to have a call with me, because we're happy to chat with about e-Residence, about Estonia, because there's a lot of questions that come up once you kind of decide to whether you want to do it or not. You can have a chat about it. Happy to get to know you and see if we could help in any way. That's it from me, and I will pass on to Kirsten. Kirsten, you're like really happy again to have you. It was brilliant to also work with you in Bits, and love to hear again more about your journey, your ideas about Estonian. How's it really like? Thank you.
Well, yes, thank you, Mats. Hello, everyone. My name is Kirsten. Some of you know me from Bits Pretzels. I'm the owner of 2 German companies, an online marketing agency and a real estate company. And momentarily, I'm based in Germany, but I lived abroad and I'm a global mind. So I'm planning to live abroad again, like becoming a nomad, which with online marketing is easy. So I was looking for my next company to be outside of Germany, and I really researched several countries, EU and non-EU countries. And I decided for Estonia because it really is so easy, it's fast, it's very transparent. And I like to be able to do everything online now, but like every step in the process. So from the first steps of applying, then it took me like 6 weeks maybe to get the ID. Then I went to Vienna to get my ID card. That was really easy as well. Afterwards, I applied with a service provider, and they are really fast. And what I really like is in their software you use with them, you really see what happens next. So you see it's like, I have to supply this document, then they promise to return an answer within 24 hours. And it was really so streamlined. So even the onboarding process was nice, and they helped me register my OU company. And we've been a proper company in Estonia for 16 weeks now. And since then, lots of things happened. So we gained first customers. Also, I went to Estonia twice already, not because I have to, because that's the cool thing. Everything is digital. You don't have to go there. But I like it so much because there's really this Silicon Valley spirit. There's lots of community events going on. There's also online communities you can join, like in LinkedIn or Facebook. And I really like to go there because you always meet other e-residents, or you just meet Estonian people and other founders. And it's a special vibe of everyone is a founder or entrepreneur, and everyone is looking to help each other. Yeah, and I'm really so glad I decided for e-Residency.
Well, we are very lucky to have you, Kirsten, and yeah, I mean, as you said nicely, that Estonia is there. Obviously, you won't have to visit it, for bureaucracy reasons. But we do have some startup festivals that if someone wants to visit Estonia, for example, you can let us know as well. And we normally try to do an event around Latitude 59. So this is in May. So that's a good time to come and meet a lot of people. But Andra, tell us more about the tax that is sometimes a very scary topic for people. It scares people off a little bit. But tell us about why Estonia system works, and maybe some differences about Estonia and Germany, and also how people can take advantage of Estonia and have a peace of mind when they have a company there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mats. Hi everybody. I'm Andra. I'm Estonian, but to be honest, now last 20 years already a tax resident somewhere else. 10 years in the Netherlands, now since 2015 here in Germany, based in Munich, and in between 10 other cities and countries. But that's aside, today I'm here to talk about the tax and how to really benefit from Estonia. And do everything so that it complies also with the international and national tax laws. because tax is always very specific. Let me share some slides. I think one of the reasons why you probably are looking and have been considering Estonia is really this, let's say, the tax system. I see always that this tax system only would not be advantage. There is also interesting systems for small companies in Latvia, in Georgia, also in Macedonia, in Bulgaria. So a lot of nomads are looking also towards that. But for me, what also Kirsten said, and what for me is really the driving thing is this first pillar, which is the digital environment. That really, except for marriage and divorce, everything can be done online. Even if one of your owners is not an e-resident, you can meet or let's say if all of you are in e-residency, you can meet in e-notary wherever you are in the world. So this possibility is really, for me, one of the strongest points for choosing Estonia. But talking about the tax today, as Mats said, really Estonia is first for 10 years already in the entire tax environment, and it's because of the transparency and ease of doing business. There are no hidden clauses which only the Steuerberater and the tax advisors understand. You have revenue, and it doesn't matter where this revenue is coming, unless until the moment when you are taking it out, it is not taxed. And the business expenses, in the different countries, there are like, you can deduct this expense, you can't deduct that expense. In Estonia, it's very clear. You can deduct everything what is related to your company and business, and you can deduct everything else as well, but from that you pay tax. And these are fringe benefits, it's called. I'll talk about that a bit later. What Mats also said, that it's the time what you are putting in submitting the tax declarations, etc. It's really short. It's like normally an average person, if you need to do your annual tax declaration, Steuererklärung, takes 3 minutes because everything is already online. The banks are connected to the tax authority systems, and people really like to do it. 95% of the taxes are declared electronically. Nobody is anymore bringing the declarations and documents in person. I would like to just say also that our income tax system is very simple. It only has one tax. It's the income tax. Income tax that is then 20%, and I will talk in the next slides how it is divided. Now, we don't have the heritage tax, we don't have the exit tax, we don't have the net worth tax or something like that. So what taxes do we have? As I said, income tax for individuals is 20%, and we have VAT right now 20%. Next year probably going to raise to 22%. If you pay the salary to Estonian employees who are residents in Estonia, then from their salaries you need to also pay the Social Security, which is 33%. Also for the employees, Estonian residents, there is unemployment tax, excise duties, gambling tax, road tax, and land tax. So very simple. So in comparison with Germany, when there is, if I now think of the regional and state taxes together, the list is nearing to 30. So then our list is very short and very simple. And what about these tax declarations? Actually, all the taxes are declared through, the company taxes are declared through 2 declarations. There is no annual declarations or whatsoever. Everything is declared on monthly basis. And if you want to do corrections, you go online on the tax authority's website and you make the corrections there. So one is so-called TSD form, that is the income and social security taxes. and the other is the VAT declaration, where you are declaring your revenues and the VAT that must be paid and what can be deducted. Let's talk about this corporate income tax. So it is wrong to say that we don't have the corporate income tax. We do. And we have also dividend tax. But the corporate taxation is shifted to the moment you take the profit out. And there are at large 2 ways to take profit out. And I'm not talking about salaries right now, but really profit distribution, which is after all the expenses. So one is dividends and other profit distributions. It's other than the bonus programs. And the second category is fringe benefits. So there is gifts, donations, representation costs, like everything what is not related to the business expenses. And how these 2 categories are taxed. The dividends are taxed with the income tax. So let's say you pay to yourself 1,000 euros. That's dividends per year. Then if you don't pay regularly, let's say you pay every second year, you pay only corporate income tax from that, which is you pay out to yourself. Netto amounts is 1,000, and the tax that you pay to Estonian tax authorities is 20/80th. If you pay regularly, this corporate part becomes 14%, and from this 1,000 euros, 7% is withheld. And now this 7% is something that you can declare in your German or Austrian or wherever you are personal tax declaration, and you can deduct this from the German income tax that you would need to pay from the dividends that you personally receive. Now, fringe benefits, it is considered like a salary basically, and that's why it's also taxed like salary. So first you, let's say you pay a restaurant costs, and you also do it for yourself. You pay also for yourself, so it's representation cost. This is not considered a business cost, but the fringe benefit in Estonia. So you need to pay income tax from that, 20/80th. And from, let's say, this restaurant bill plus income tax, you also calculate the social contribution 33%. So it really becomes like a salary, as if you would, let's say, yes, pay a salary to yourself. So this is the very easy case. Again, I would like to say that when you pay yourself dividends, then what is taxed? The total tax amount. Let's say because dividend is a capital expense in Germany, it is like you tax it with 25%. So if you take dividend out of an Estonian company, you pay from that, let's say, 20%. That leaves in Estonia. It's corporate tax. You cannot avoid double taxation with that. So you declare this 1,000 euro fully in your German tax declaration, and you pay on top of that also 25%. If you pay regularly, your tax burden will be less. It's 14% corporate tax, and the 7%, which is withheld from your dividend, that you can offset from the German tax, so that the total tax burden becomes less. And now your question is definitely, and I already saw in the Q&A section, what to do with the PE and so on. Indeed, the question is, where is the corporate tax paid? This 20%, let's say, and is it due in Estonia or overall? How are the profits taxed for the international company? So the fact is that if you have an Estonian company that conducts the business, let's say, in Germany, then it is quite logical that both countries want to tax. Estonia wants to tax because the company is Estonian, but the Germany also wants to tax because, hey, you live here, all your employees are here, the management is here, your office is here. We want to have a tax. And that's where these international tax rules come to play. And in order to determine which country has a right to tax, in a tax world, we have the term called permanent establishment. So that is the company level taxation. Many of you probably have heard the CFC rules. So this is the shareholder level taxation. And I would like to a little bit talk about that from the perspective of Germany. So all in all, where this term permanent establishment is defined is in each and every country's double taxation treaty, avoidance treaty, Article 5. It is international, based on OECD rules. So this definition is the same regardless of the country or regardless of the double taxation treaty. That applies to also Germany and Estonia have double taxation treaty, and it is defined like that. So permanent establishment is a fixed place of business through which the business of an enterprise is wholly or partially carried out. I have made some very simplified model. So how it is determined then that where this permanent establishment is. I like to see it and explain it through 5 factors. First is, where is the company's place of management? The board members. Juhatuse liige in Estonia. In Germany, it would be Geschäftsführer. But in Estonia, we have the board members who are important. In UK, it's called directors. Where is the office or factory or workshop? Depends on which type of business you have. Where the assets are. Where is the server? For example, if it's an online casino, where is your server? This can also determine where the taxation place is. Where are your employees' tax residents? Where they work? And where is also the place where the customers are served? The last is the little bit less important. Let's say the first 4 are mainly what we call economic substance. So very simply, where those 5 things or economic substance are in Estonia, then the Estonia has a right to tax. If they are in Germany, then the Germany has a right to tax. This is a very simple model. There come more matters in between. An Estonian company can have more than 1 permanent establishment, 1 in Estonia, 1 in Germany, 1 in Austria, all depending on where those 5 items might be. And it really depends on the local national tax rules as well. They are defined a little bit differently. For example, in Croatia, they say that if you are working already for 4 months, I think it was, last time I checked, if you work 4 months in Estonia, then your permanent establishment for these activities is in Croatia. So you need to really go to national legislation in order to understand what the rules in different countries are. So this is how the company's profits are taxed. So that means that it doesn't mean that only Estonia has a right to tax. If, for example, your board members are in Germany, then Finanzamt, if they really want, Germany has, based on these double taxation treaties, the Bundesministerium has also put together their own national rules in compliance with that. And if they really want to start digging, then they would like to understand that how come if your company is run from Germany, you actually only pay tax in Estonia. So be ready to just prove, and there are ways how to design all this. So with regard to this double taxation, so in general, the double taxation of the corporate or personal income tax is avoided. Estonia has 62 double taxation treaties, and right now the double taxation treaties preparation is ongoing for the next 8. So it is simply to know that what goes under the double taxation and what comes on top of that. Like, for example, this example of the dividend taxation. Let me also talk about the CFC rules. That is now concerning that if you are a owner of the foreign company, but you are tax resident somewhere else. So this controlled foreign corporation, CFC, it is defined as a foreign company that is either directly or indirectly controlled by a German taxpayer. And the rules for that are coming from the German Außensteuergesetz. So what is this definition? Is that if you own more than 50%, if that Estonia is a low tax jurisdiction according to that, because our income tax, corporate tax is only 20%, but Germany requires 25%, and the motive test, meaning that is there real activities in Estonia, or or actually the economic substance is missing. This is regarding this PE requirements that I talked in the last slide. And what is taxed? Provided that the CFC is then established, or it is clear that we are dealing with the CFC, then fortunately not all income is taxed in Germany and at your level, but only the passive income. For example, the income from the dividends, exit the profits. If your Estonian company owns real estate and earns the rental income, if Estonian company owns shares and it's the dividend income from that, this all is called a passive income that is taxed at the shareholder level. What that means is that you would basically, this passive income, you as a German tax resident would need to just declare it in your annual income tax declaration, Einkommensteuererklärung. So this is very quickly the overview of controlled foreign corporations. Especially the CFC rule have strengthened since 2019, when the EC issued the declaration and the directive on the anti-money laundering, and even countries like Netherlands, which before didn't have any CFC rules, needed to create it, really to avoid the artificial company structures. So my last slide, not to keep you any longer and maybe jump to the specific questions you might have. Who would benefit then from e-Residency, so that you don't need to worry about the PE rules and the CFC rules and so on? It's definitely, and in the first place, the companies that have economic substance in Estonia, office, employees, board members. So even if you at that stage maybe are the only board member, think of expanding and hiring people in Estonia for the Estonian company, engaging another board member whom you would put in a e-card register. Also digital nomads who don't have any tax residency, stable tax residency. Then in one of the Mats examples, the guy who was living in Bali is a good example of that. So Estonian e-government allows very easy doing business if you have the digital nomad status and are one day in one country and the other day in the other country. The groups who have the active worldwide, and maybe have a holding or some headquarter in Estonia, like also what Mats said in this company that is producing the airplane parts. Also, the companies that you see have management in various countries. There it is easier to prove that the substance is not only in one country. In some cases, e-commerce can be the case. There we need to consider also that, of course, employees would be good to have in Estonia. Some holdings, if you have just a holding structure, you have holding of your if you have holding, let's say you're having startup which you plan to sell, then have another holding in Estonia, and the exit tax that you will receive will then remain in Estonian. But make sure that you create then substance also in Estonian. You might be able to save some tax money through that. Again, these are just some general examples. Every case is very specific, and we need to always consider the provisions of the local legislation in Germany or wherever the e-resident is actually then the tax resident. that's all from my side. Mats, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Andra, for this like very particular overview. It's really good to have it in a systematic way. I would say to people that don't get scared on the tax topic, because this is something that is of course solvable. We have tax advisors on our marketplace. So Andra's company Priolaunch is actually one of them, and we also have one pages, kind of tax studies, things that we can share with you, so you can really look into it, look into your case, and then build a sensible way. Look into how and whether your business case can work with e-Residency. So don't get scared of this topic. And also on finding employees in Estonia, this is something I didn't really cover much, but Estonia is a very, let's say, it's a very free market country. So in a way, Estonia is an easy place for definitely hire, and sometimes also our startups, what we've seen in crisis, it's relatively easy to also let go of people. Sometimes startups need to do that and then hire them again in half a year time, for example. In Estonia, it's made a little bit easier. So we're also developing a lot of support materials on this topic, and I'm happy to handhold if anyone wants to go that direction. But now, please, the Q&A tab is the perfect place. It makes it easier to answer all the questions. I saw some of you already said hello on the chat as well. I also wanted to mention that 2 of our service providers are also represented here today. I saw that one office in Silverhunt. So these are 2 service providers that have dealt quite extensively also with Germany and have many German e-residents among their clients. So these are companies that help you to set up the company in Estonia, and also do bookkeeping and whatever services you might need. So please shoot the questions towards us. Maybe a quick question to Andra also as a follow-up. I mean, we have in our community, we have many, let's say, startup teams, for example, where there's 3 founders and 3 different countries. How can they make sure that they don't get a PE? Because if they sort of, let's say, go to Estonia occasionally, do things together, but they're really 3 different countries where they work.
Mm-hmm. It's honestly, we need to look at every case by themselves, but in principle, now we need to go to all of these 3 countries' national legislation. In a worst case, there would be PE in each of the 3 countries. The idea is to have some really centristic substance in Estonia. Your goal, let's say, it's like I see always that I still also have my own companies in Estonia, and I really try to use companies to align it with my life vision. So if you say that you are afraid of taxes, so my question always, and how I work with the clients, is okay, where do you want to go, let's say, in 5 years' time? What is your vision overall? And then we can start talking about, okay, how we are creating. But it is that if you really want to optimize your taxes and really want to make sure that only place of taxation is in Estonia, then some effort needs to be put in. And as I said about these 5 topics, or at least, let's say 4 topics: the employees, place of management, office, and assets. Assets not really relevant for example, service-based business, but these things should be in Estonia. And then you have, if any of the tax authorities ever is wondering, why are you not taxing in your country of residency? It's easy for you to prove it. So this is my easy answer to you. Worst case, all 3, but with some effort and some wise planning, it can be only Estonia.
Yeah, what I would add here is that what we see in our communities, that sometimes the active director would be a nomad or would live in Portugal in some cases, and the other ones would be maybe officially directors of the company, but would kind of contribute in other ways. This is what we see a lot.
Exactly. So this is a very good point, that it is important then that the ultimate beneficial owners can be anywhere. And then you need to just follow the CFC rules, that in this country where you actually are resident, is the Estonian company a CFC according to this national legislation? According to Germany, for sure, Estonian company is a CFC, and the CFC rules would apply. But if you are withdrawing yourself as UBO, ultimate beneficial owner, from the board, and have a board member, let's say exactly in Bali, in Dubai, in Portugal, then you have relieved a lot of risk for yourself. And if you then also like hire somebody in Estonia and have more, then you have more possibility to really prove that the substance is actually in Estonia.
Yeah, there's a question from Mohammed saying that once you have a permanent establishment in Germany, do you lose Estonian tax regime's benefit? I guess there the answer is what he mentioned is that if you also in the long term have some substance in Estonia, then that can still be taxed there, right? So the only German part only considers the work that is done in Germany. I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, mostly yes. Again, if we really go in detail, it's a little bit more complicated. The Estonian part is in Estonia if there is somebody in Estonia. If there is nobody in Estonia, then you can't at all benefit from Estonia. If you, for example, are a board member and you contributed, let's say 50% of the revenue depends on you, then yes, you have to do some proving. It's the TP transfer pricing documentation. And you need to do some work and prove, okay, my part of the revenue belongs to that. Okay, that is then taxed through the PE in Germany. And then the rest can be in Estonia. So really Estonia can tax if there is somebody in Estonia, which revenue is then connected to Estonia.
An important point is also when we speak to our tax office. So a tax office is, first of all, they try to build like a client-friendly service. So they actually respond to emails and they give you thorough feedback if you have a topic or some issue that you need with Estonia. And the second thing is Estonia doesn't double tax. I mean, that's what they say, that they understand that a lot of these companies should have a PE elsewhere as well. So they don't kind of fight back on this one. So there's no double taxation, but there's sometimes double reporting, right?
It is true. In German, it's called Nebenrechnung. It's a little bit simpler. If you have a PE, you would need to get a tax number from Finanzamt. And your invoices would need to be issued all with this German tax number. And this revenue is then accounted for in Germany. And the taxation rules are the same. So if there is profit from this, this profit will be taxed according to the German corporate taxation rules. And all the accounting specificities and tax law specificities apply as well to that revenue. Yeah, and in Estonia, yes, you need to anyway submit the accounts because it's the Estonian company. In Estonia, of course, things are much easier, but yeah, it's the, let's say, this double reckoning. In Estonia, in principle, you would be able to do even things or the accounts by yourself if you a little bit understand, because everything is online and there is this e-financial software even which can record all your income and so. But in Germany, very often for the PE, you would need to have a Steuerberater, or at least that is my experience with my German clients.
Yeah, in Estonia, we don't have the Steuerberater for Estonia, but we do have wonderful service providers who can do the work for you. But Kirsten, sorry.
Yeah, so maybe one tip, just how I did it, because I started looking for employees in Estonia to create substance. One thing, I just went to the platform Upwork and other platforms where you can find people and you can check whether they are e-residents or residents in Estonia. And also I really used the network of e-residents and residents in Tallinn or in Estonia. So I really talked to people. I went to Facebook and LinkedIn groups and said, well, I'm the new owner of a new OU. I'm looking for employees. Can you recommend someone? And honestly, this is the best way. I found people now started to work for me and my way of creating substance, because I won't be there the whole of the year. So I can really recommend to just start talking to people, listen to groups, be part of LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups. And also when you look for freelancers, for example, try to see if they are based in Estonia, because that makes it easier.
Mm-hmm. And Estonians use all LinkedIn. This is also a good tip. It's quite easy to hire through LinkedIn, as I understand. It is one of the main business tools. Facebook is also, but and a lot of companies are actually using Facebook also for marketing purposes. But yeah, I would say for doing business, Facebook and LinkedIn are the strongest social media, and all Estonians are online, which is a great news. We actually like to sometimes talk business much more over emails and chats than actually have a phone call. So it is possible to find Estonians online.
Yeah, Dirk had a question, which is a very, very fair question. How do you, if you live in Germany as a founder of an Estonian company, how can you find like a good service provider who can give you, who can help you basically pay yourself a salary and get a health insurance in Germany under the Estonian company? That should be totally doable, right, Andra? But does that always trigger a PE in Germany, by the way? This was an extra question. And I understand also some of the service providers maybe can help with this topic. Maybe one office has done this, or Silverhand has done this for German-speaking e-residents or Germany-based e-residents.
All right. Let me get, so this goes a little bit on the social security law and the, let's say, employment. So this is a topic not for the Finanzamt, this, let's say, the salaries and the salary taxes, but it is one Arbeitsamt, the working office, who is dealing with the employment, and so if there are, let me bring one case where you will see that how is it possible that there is no PE in Germany, but everything in Estonian. I have one Estonian client, and the ease part is there that they really are Estonians, the employees are Estonian, but they are leasing the companies to one of the German ports in Bremen, Bremenhaven. And of course, they don't have any permanent establishment because everything, all the substance, these 5 things are there. And what is important, what the Finanzamt was also getting interested in, but your employees are in Germany. Okay, the place of management is in Estonia, the business is maybe run through Estonia, but your employees are working in for this specific business in Germany. So what we did is that we ensured that none of the employees is working more than 183 days in Germany. This is where the employee or any person becomes tax resident in the other country, 183 days. And in this case, in a worse, so even though they do have everything and a PE is not in Germany, they needed to get for their employees in Germany a employer number from this Arbeitsamt. It's not the tax number from Finanzamt. And because they have this, they are able to pay salaries. Now, this is the case for all the Estonian companies as well. You cannot, in principle, there is no mean for you to pay salary to a German citizen, because if this Estonian company doesn't have the tax number, the appropriate way is that either the Germans are freelancers and sending the invoices to Estonian company, or if you, because the salaries of the non-residents are not taxed for income tax and also not for social security in Estonia at all. You don't even need to show them in the Estonian tax declarations. But you cannot also pay the taxes in Germany if you don't have this number. Now, the PE problem is the separate one. But yes, if you already are showing that your employees are only in Germany, it more or less shows that. And if these people are living more than 183 days in Germany, you might have the permanent establishment in Germany as well. And it is very hard for you to prove otherwise. I hope this example a little bit explained. There is more to it, but in short, this is the case.
But Dirk, just to answer your question also on the service providers, then I would say that the both that are present here today, Silverhand and One Office, they're good places where to go and deal with this topic, because there definitely are cases like this where founders pay themselves a salary locally. The question is how to do it, and not all service providers are ready to deal with such maybe more like taxation and complicated topics. So then you can always change the service provider and get this done.
Let me add one more thing. There is a difference between the board member fee and salary. If you pay a board member fee, meaning to a person who really is a board member and this person is German resident, then in this case, taxation is so that the income tax is withheld in Estonia, and you can declare it in your annual Steuererklärung and avoid double taxation for this part. Social security is still paid in your country of tax residency, always, regardless of which type of salary you're paying.
Wolfgang has a question that actually comes up quite often, which is that can you move already an existing company from Germany to Estonia, basically, which I understand legally it should be possible, although a lot of the service providers advise maybe it's easier to create a new one, but a lot of people also, a lot of founders sometimes have a lot of contracts, clients under one company, and they want to move it, exactly. And then I think I understand also that German exit tax is something that might come into play if they do it this way. But I understand that still, if this is the topic, then I would say speak to one of the two service providers that are here. I think they will look into and can consult also legal notaries if necessary on this topic. The general advice is that it's easier to start a new company, of course, and then gradually build the Estonian business there.
Otherwise, it's gonna be a merger or similar. But in principle, you just close one company and open the other. Brand name can stay the same. What is behind your website, it doesn't matter. You can have also 10 companies behind your website, and the structure of the company. So,
another tax question from Zilong. If I have a PE in Estonia, so permanent establishment in Estonia, I pay corporate income tax on dividends, and then what do I pay in Germany is a question. So in Germany, only personal income tax on top of that comes into play. You mentioned there's certain numbers, Andra, as well, right? Andra, you mentioned certain sort of top-up fee that was partly.
Mm-hmm. No, I hope I also answered this question when I explained how this 20%, 40% is working. Your personal dividend tax is this 7% if you pay regularly, let's say after the third year. Otherwise, the corporate tax is 20% plus 25% in Germany. So it's quite large fee. And only 7% can be withheld from this 25%.
But the value of a PE in Estonia, of course, is that if you don't take out dividends, you don't take out a lot of your wealth and dividends, then the effective taxation rate can be very low, technically speaking. That's why people like it and want to also have substance in Estonia.
Yeah.
If I do pay myself as a freelancer in Germany from my Estonian company, I do pay other freelancers in Estonia and Spain. Would it still incur PE in Germany? I mean, this is maybe also Kirsten. I mean, this is partly you work with in this field.
Also, it depends who is the board member. It comes down to board member. And the question is how occasionally, let's say the good wording is that if you are a board member, and let's say if you yourself are not responsible for the revenue driving activities at all, then there is no P. But the moment, let's say, the real revenue driving activities, and I'm not talking about auxiliary activities like the bookkeeping or something like that. So if you only have bookkeeping in Estonia, that doesn't mean that you have economic substance. We really talk about the revenue generating activities. So I would say each case is specific. Let's say this freelancer model, you can use it temporarily, but as I say, like you need to think of your bigger picture. What is your future idea? Are you staying as a German tax resident, then forever, like 10 years, 20 years, to let's say build your Estonian companies as a freelancer? it can be seen as a tax evasion, if I use the strongest word. So on a long term, I wouldn't suggest this model. It can work temporarily though.
Yeah, having a director in Estonia, as you said, is the key there that we'll look at. But finding business partners shouldn't be though impossible. So yeah, I hope that answered all this round of questions. We're slightly over time, but we can still answer a couple of questions if there's anything still on your mind, also outside taxation. Also, you can really ask anything because now is the time. And also, Kirsten, maybe you have some questions for Andra still that aren't clear.
I think I'm good. The only thing I want to mention, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but really all the documents or all the services you need, they are in English. That was one of my reasons to decide for Estonia, because I only know how to speak German and English fluently. So I really needed a company where I understand all the legal and law documents, maybe not from I'm able to read them at least, and then I'm able to translate them, have them explained to me, but everything is in English. So, and that really helped me get into it, and it really gave me the confidence that I, as a business owner, can deal with whatever comes up.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would like to even talk about topics like the laws. All the laws are available online, and there is literally, they are all always updated for the latest developments. So you don't need to put together various documents. For example, if you want to read the latest income tax law or any the business law or whatsoever, and there is a button, translate to English. And the same is officially translated right away in English, and it's really easily available. Not talking about the official sites of the eResidency of the tax authorities and so on.